Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's go over the guide for Darkheart Thicket and how to properly pull this dungeon. Now the big thing to note about Darkheart Thicket is the fact that almost at every point in this dungeon you can mount up. Now mounting takes 1.5 seconds and it's going to cut back your time significantly. So if you're not immediately going to be pulling a pack, I suggest you mount up and run to the next pack that way. Now the first two pulls with these night claws, what you want to do is try to chain your stuns as best as possible because these night claws at very high difficulties can one-shot people. So since this is a really big detriment to your group, I would suggest the first two packs trying to chain stun them. These bears, there's not much else you can do with them besides DPS them down as fast as you can. We do have a pat back here, and you can actually pull them together. I would not suggest pulling them at the exact same time. The only reason I did pull this pat right now is because the bear was below 10% HP. So if the bear is about to go down, you can absolutely pull these pats, but you don't want them all at the exact same time. Something else you do see is this pull in the corner, and that pull is 100% skippable and you should not be doing it. Now we did have someone here body pull, unfortunately, so we are going to have to do this pull, but that pull is unnecessary and not required for the 100% that you are going to need. One thing to note, when your despair stacks get too high, your healer should be cleansing you. So if you are the healer or if you have the healer with you, anything above 5 stacks should be getting cleansed from you. You're going to be getting more stacks after that regardless, but you want less than 5. Now here, what you want to do is run over here to the left, jump on top of this, and go over to this ledge. This is going to allow you to skip one of the most troubling pulls in this dungeon. So once you jump down, you can go ahead and pull this pat. This pat is necessary, and what you want to do is pull that pat back to a safe distance where everybody is right now. What you don't want to do is pull these mobs right here. So you did see, again, somebody else pulled that. We are going to have to take it down, but that is the group you want to avoid. It is not necessary for the percentage that you need, and it also hits really hard because of the night claws again. So if you kill the pat only and don't pull this group, you're going to basically be running in between both of the pulls to bypass them. So once you're done with those, these pats coming up next are necessary pulls as well. So you do want to pull them. Again, these guys cast despair, so cleanse anything over 5. And you do want to hug this wall to avoid any of the groups to the left. Now these bears, they can be pulled one at a time. However, if your group DPS is high enough, you can pull both. But if you're pushing a really high Mythic Plus level, they do a ton of damage, so you might want to pull them one at a time. Something else you did kind of see me do here is I did back up onto what was the green gate to start the RP on the boss. So we no longer have a gate guarding the boss. It helps you skip a few seconds of RP. So we can run straight into the boss and go ahead and pull them. So once that boss is down, again how I mentioned in the beginning, you can mount up. So I highly suggest mounting up because it will help you cut back on time. And you can go ahead and just pull this next pack. Now the dryads are a little bit tricky. You want to either get on the other side of them or stun lock them because they will be running around everywhere. And what they'll try to do is run away from whoever they have threat. So if you pick up threat, they're going to run backwards and run away from you. Now if your group has good CC, you can CC the dryad here of this group and actually bypass this whole group by hugging the right hand side of the wall. But since we had already gotten a lot of accidental pulls with this group, CC wasn't there, so we went ahead and just pulled this pack anyway. But this pack can be skipped just fine. One big thing to note here is anytime you have a keeper up, you have to be very aware of where the mushrooms are going to drop. So you'll see a big green goop kind of land somewhere on the ground, and that's going to turn into a mushroom. And these mushrooms at high levels can basically one-shot you. So you do want to be careful of where those are being placed and run away from them. If you get anywhere near the mushroom in a small AoE, they do explode and do a ton of damage. So once again, we're just going to go ahead and pull the next pat here. Because of the way the dryads and the blossoms act with AoE, you don't want to pull this group combined with the next group because you're going to have a ton of AoE. So this next group has 2 keepers, which means double the mushrooms. So you are going to have to use this whole little plaza area in order to move them around and tank them in. So you'll see some of the green goo jumping out of the keepers here, and that is going to turn into mushrooms. You don't want to stand in that. That's going to hurt a ton. And if they do stack, you might get one shot. So you'll see me here slowly rotate around the plaza, dance around the mushrooms. Again, once this pack is done, you do want to mount up to avoid spending too much time here and actually run over to the next mob. Now with this next pull with these dwellers, they actually all need to go down before the next boss can even be pulled or even get animated. So you can actually pull multiple of these. They don't hurt too hard as long as you keep them interrupted or stunned. So whenever you see them casting, you can either throw out a stun or interrupt them. The cast is Tormenting Eye, but as long as you keep them CC'd or you have your melee and ranged do really good interrupts, you'll be fine being able to pull all of them together. With Darkheart, if you're running something like Tyrannical, you do want to save your big cooldowns for right before the grip hits you, just to help mitigate as much damage as possible. And once you're done with Darkheart, you want to mount up and again run to the next area. This is going to be the area with slimes in it. So with these blood elementals, you do want to pull into an area where not everybody's going to get knocked around everywhere. And when they split up into multiple smaller elementals, you do want to try to chain stun and chain CC them, because those tinier elementals can become full-blown elementals and actually split up again. So after the elemental, you can actually just keep chain pulling. These slimes aren't a big deal, they do go down relatively easily. So if all you have is slimes right here, you can do chain pulls. And you can actually bypass this next water elemental if you time the pack correctly, but if you don't, he should go down relatively easily. But you do see that even at this point, before this boss, we already have complete enemy forces. Now this could be because somebody accidentally pulled 2 packs, but regardless of that, we're going to have way more than enough forces in this dungeon. So you can bypass a lot of these packs that I've mentioned and still complete 100%. With this next boss, just remember to face him away from the group so that the breath doesn't hit anyone else. And actually, as a tank, you can actually bypass getting hit by breath as well. So remember to sidestep it. If your group has invis potions, which we discussed with this group here and they did not want to or have them, you can actually bypass this next group by popping an invis potion and running right past them. So keep that in mind, just because reaching 100% enemy forces in this dungeon isn't very difficult. So with these packs, try to keep them CC'd. If you get the big AoE on the ground below you, split up from everyone else, and as a tank, try to keep magic mitigation up as much as possible, because they do deal a lot of magic damage. So things like absorb trinkets and spell reflect are going to help you out a ton here. These bloodseekers are not anything too special, they deal a high amount of damage, but they're just tanked normally. With the next and last pull, depending on what affixes you do get, if you do want to kite that pack, what you want to do is actually run into the boss's room, and that's how you want to end up kiting them. Now here we do have Sanguine, so things do drop on the ground. So as a result of that, I start running into the boss room so that these mobs do not get healed. Now with this last boss, if you're pushing a high level Mythic Plus, I do suggest popping Bloodlust below 50% so that the boss has less time in his really difficult phase. But that's really it for Darkheart Thicket. There's not too many avoidable packs, but there is that one big shortcut in the beginning and a few packs you can skip here or there. Enemy forces are going to be guaranteed to be 100% even if you skip all of the ones that I did mention. We'll be continuing this series and doing all of the rest of the dungeons very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And also, as soon as 7.2 drops, I will be including Cathedral of the Eternal Night in this format, so stay tuned for that. And as always, good luck out there.